Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the invisible architecture behind every single project, its organizational blueprint. This is the stuff that can make or break a project. The reason one runs like a dream and another just completely flies off the rails.
I mean, you know the feeling, right? That controlled chaos where communication is a tangled mess, big decisions just get stuck, and nobody seems to know who to ask for a final say. It's got to be one of the biggest frustrations at work. But here's the thing. When a project feels like that, it's almost never about the people being bad at their jobs. It's the blueprint. It's the system they're working in. See, getting that organizational structure right is the real key to getting clarity and, ultimately, to succeeding.
All right, so let's dive into our first model. This is the big one, the most traditional approach, what most companies default to. It's the functional organization. Think of it as keeping it in the family, within existing departments.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, imagine you're launching a new product. The design work stays with the engineering department, the marketing plan stays with the marketing department, and the budget, well, that's all handled by finance. The project is basically just sliced up and handed out to the usual team.
And of course, there are trade-offs. On the one hand, it's pretty easy to manage. You don't have to overhaul the company, and you get to use all the deep expertise you already have. But the downsides, they're huge. There's no single person driving the project, so focus gets blurry, teams don't talk to each other, and everything just moves so slowly. There's no real sense of ownership.
So if that functional model is too slow and siloed, what's the total opposite? Well, that brings us to the projectized organization. This is the all-for-one, one-for-the-project approach. You literally build a dedicated team whose only job is to get that one project done.
In this world, the project manager is king. They have full authority over the team, the money, the timeline, everything. The team members are pulled out of their day jobs and put together, often in the same room, working exclusively on this one thing. It's kind of like a special ops team for getting stuff done.
The power here is its incredible laser-like focus. Projects get done fast, and everyone's on the same page. But it's expensive. You're often duplicating roles you already have in the company. Plus, it creates two major headaches. First, this kind of we versus them attitude can pop up against the rest of the organization. And second, there's that huge question. What happens to everybody on the team when the project is over?
Okay, so we've got one model that's slow but cheap, and another that's fast but expensive. So, is there a happy medium? Well, that's the promise of the matrix organization. It's a hybrid that tries to give you the best of both worlds.
The key idea here, the whole game, is shared authority. So if you're on the team, you report to two people. Your regular boss, say the head of marketing, and the project manager. It becomes this constant dance of negotiation and collaboration. The upside is pretty clear, right? You get that project focus, but you also get flexibility. The problem is the human cost. That two-boss system can be incredibly stressful for people caught in the middle. And because everything has to be negotiated, decision-making can slow right down, and you can end up with some really nasty conflicts.
Now, it's really important to know that matrix isn't just one thing. It exists on a spectrum. On one end, you have a weak matrix. Here, the project manager is really just a coordinator, a paper pusher. The real power stays with the functional managers. But on the other end, in a strong matrix, the power flips. The project manager has real authority, controlling the budget and the team, almost like in that projectized model.
So, all of this brings us to the million-dollar question. You've got these three blueprints. How in the world do you pick the right one? Well, it all comes down to matching the structure to your project, your strategy, and maybe most importantly, your company culture.
This is it. This is the question everyone wants the answer to. Is there one perfect structure that just works every time? And the answer, pretty unequivocally, is no. There is no single best way. The right choice is always contextual. It really depends on what kind of project you're doing, what your company is trying to achieve, and this is the big one, the culture of your organization. So when you're making this choice, you've got to ask yourself some basic questions about the project itself. How critical is this thing to our overall strategy? Are we using brand new tech? Is this a massive multi-year project or a quick hit? How fast does it need to get done? the answers start pointing you in the right direction.
But honestly, those project questions only get you halfway there. The real decider, the ultimate test, is your culture. See, if your company is super collaborative, a matrix can work beautifully. But if you drop that same structure into a cutthroat competitive culture, it's going to breed conflict and it's probably going to fail. If your culture just isn't built for teamwork, you're going to need a stronger, more forceful structure, like a projectized team or a strong matrix, to get things done.
And really, that's the main takeaway here. A structure that's a home run in one company can be a spectacular failure in another. Your project's blueprint has to be aligned with the social fabric, with the actual culture of your organization. If those two are out of sync, it's a recipe for disaster. So, I'll leave you with a question to think about for your own workplace. What is your organization's default blueprint? And, more importantly, is it actually aligned with how people really work? Is it truly built for success? Thanks for joining this explainer.